In the heart of a suburban backyard stood Alison, a young girl of 8. She stood there dreaming of fairy tale adventures, sword fights, trolls, damsels in distress, and knights in shining armour. Alison didn't like cliché. She knew that if she ever found adventure, she would save the princesses and scare away those who threatened her. She approached her back fence and crouched down near a small door which hadn't been there before. She forced the door open and crawled through a fence which previously separated her backyard from a new mystic world. An icy chill of excitement ran down Alison's spine as she stood up on the other side of the fence. She lifted her hands, rubbing her eyes. In this world, she was blinded from reality. Along the open field she walked before her feet hit solid ground, a checkered path. She had not a care in the world. Everything was strange here, as if from a fairy tale. The grass grew greener, yet the trees were bare. She walked behind a tree, and her clothes had changed. She definitely wasn't near home anymore. There was a familiarity about this world, as if from a distant dream that she couldn't remember. In the distance, there was a tree which was the most beautiful thing Alison had ever seen. Instead of leaves intertwining its branches, there were teapots and all sorts of odds and ends hanging from them. Upon one of the lower branches hung a red cloak. Alison put it on. It was the softest cloak she had ever felt. Nothing could harm her. Creatures of this land would fear her as though she were a valiant knight, with her red cloak as her armour. Alison continued to make her way deeper into the unknown land, unsure of where exactly she was going. Her pace slowed when she noticed a shadow advancing on her. She swung around swiftly to find a hunter with a knife raised above his head, ready to fall down upon her when her back was turned. The hunter stopped dead in his tracks, awestruck by Alison's youthful elegance. He had come to steal her heart by order of the Queen, as Alison had threatened her title of fairest in the land. Alison stopped the hunter by instead stealing his heart. The hunter could no longer harm her. Her red cloak glistened in the moonlight, saving her from harm. Holding the woodman's warm heart, she placed it into a tin man's open hand as he looked lonely. The man of tin was not human and couldn't keep his new heart beating, but he was happy for having the chance to feel love once more. Onwards, Alison walked until her path was blocked by a pile of 20 pillows. On top of the mound, Alison found a small green pea, which she ate without hesitation. Over the other side of the pillows she walked until she felt the need to stop from an unknown force. At that moment, a sign was lowered to the ground in front of her by strings. The picture read that no billy goat's gruff could cross over the bridge. Familiarity flooded her mind as she made her way over. She wondered why there was nothing guarding the bridge when it was so clear that certain billy goats gruff were not permitted to cross over. Little did Alison know that the mean troll that was supposed to be guarding the bridge was in fact cowering underneath, scared of Alison as she didn't belong in his world. Over the other side she went, toddling along the path until her feet couldn't walk another step. She decided to sit on a tuffet under a nearby tree. Then, a spider swung from a branch onto her knee. Alison smiled at the spider when a piece of paper blew into her foot. There it lay until it began folding itself into a paper frog and hopped away. Alison followed the paper frog, which jumped up onto a mushroom, where it unfolded, revealing the writing which read, "Eat me." Alison tore off a piece of the mushroom and ate it. She felt a tingle run down her spine and noticed that the world around her was growing larger, until it occurred to her that she was in fact shrinking. The piece of parchment appeared out of thin air, now the size of a rug. She sat on it before it glided away, taking her further into this world. Once again, the piece of parchment began to fold up. When it was finished, it resembled a boat. Alison pushed it into the water and hopped in. She floated across the open water until she saw a lonely ballerina on an island, like one a little girl would find in her music box. She was frozen, but Alison remembered her loneliness when entering this world, and did not wish that upon anyone else. So she decided to allow the ballerina into the boat until they found land. Together, Alison and the ballerina travelled until their boat finally hit solid ground. Alison helped the ballerina out of the boat, where she was reunited with her one true love and soulmate, the steadfast tin soldier. Alison didn't dawdle. She walked on until she came to a wishing well. On the ground, she found a ruby slipper. She didn't have a coin, so she dropped that down the well instead, wishing for company and a way home. She didn't belong in this world. Alison soon realised a large house, which she swore wasn't there before. She walked up and marvelled at it, as it was made entirely from gingerbread. Curiosity overcame her as she opened the door and went inside, despite her fears. On the entrance wall were photos of sleeping children. Curiouser and curiouser, she thought. She turned to the main room, where there was an entire dinner party set up. The tea was warm, half-eaten cake was left on the table, and even a hat was left behind. Loneliness flooded her mind. Everyone here seemed to flee from her. She didn't like this world at all. She turned her back to the tea party and walked into the next room. This room, oddly enough, reminded Alison of her own bedroom, though instead it had 3 beds instead of 1. She decided to lay down in the middle bed, which looked the comfiest. She closed her eyes and fell into complete darkness. In the heart of a faraway forest stood an old cottage made of sweets, in which Alison slept once upon a dream.